恭敬大德圣定，为此法会，自一切众生，尽转妙法轮教导我们，如何了生脱死离苦得乐，殊胜无生。Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attain bliss, and end birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchetoye alahati sanmyao sanputoche. 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受者，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it, and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Namo, quelling disasters, lengthening life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one, Medicine Master does come one. Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Venerable Master, and all good knowing advisors, Amitabha, welcome back. This is lecture number 172. As we explore the Dharma using the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra as our foundation, as our guide. Okay, now let me move forward to our slides for today. So before we do that, Ron has a question about someone stopping eating, and is that a form of committing suicide? Does anyone else have any questions you want to bring up? Okay, if you don't, it can be any Dharma question. If you don't want to ask, you prefer to type it in the chat box, please do so. Okay, where are we right now? Right now, if you look at your screen, we are at a part of the sutra. We have already looked at the last part of the first paragraph. Okay, that means how to read and recite the sutra, in particular this sutra, as the instructions go in the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra. Then ponder its meaning and lecture on and explain it. That means as you recite, you're not reciting blindly. Some people, there are certain times when you can recite a sutra for concentration purposes, but in this instance, that's not one of them. In this instance, when you read and recite the sutra, you're supposed to question the sutra. You're supposed to seek meaning. You're supposed to reflect the sutra. You're supposed to ask yourself, what is this sutra trying to tell me? What can I learn from this sutra? And then the second part is lecture on and explain it. And so we've covered that. I think we took about how many? Maybe 3 lectures to do that. Now we come to the next paragraph. Once you can do that, why do you want to do all this and put yourself through all this trouble? Well, Shakyamuni Buddha says, you will obtain whatever you seek. Okay, for example, those who seek long life will attain longevity. Those who seek wealth will gain wealth. Those who seek an official position will obtain it. And those who seek a son or daughter will have one. Okay, is it that simple? Is it that straightforward? Well, we've been going through what it means, like circumambulating, reading and reciting the sutra. And while it is straightforward, it is not that simple, right? Okay, now let's look at one sutra. It's called Itta Sutta. I have shared this sutra at least once, if not twice or more, but it's really appropriate to share it again here. This sutra is known as What is Welcome. Okay, and then it begins like this. It says, Anatta Pindika, the householder. Who is Anatta Pindika? He is known as the Buddha's chief patron. He was very, very rich, extremely rich. And he really supported the Triple Jewel. He was the one responsible for purchasing Prince Jeta's grove for the Buddha. So the story behind it goes like this. He was looking for a suitable place so that he could build a monastery for the monks to live for the Buddha. First, he asked the Buddha for permission, and Buddha said, yes, that would be a good thing to do. So he was looking around and he found this beautiful park, which he thought was perfect to build a monastery for the monks to live in. So he found that the Prince Jeta was the owner of the park. So he went to Prince Jeta and said, I want to buy this park to offer to the Buddha. And then Prince Jeta said, no, it's not for sale. I'm not, because why? He's the prince. First of all, he has more money than he needs, so he has no need to sell. Secondly, it was a wonderful, valuable piece of real estate, so to speak. Okay, and so Prince Jeta probably enjoyed himself there, maybe hunting deer, relaxing in the park. So he had no wish to sell. But Anatta Pindika kept on pressing the prince to sell. Finally, the prince made an offer. He thought that it was such an outrageous offer, he thought no one would accept that offer. So what did he say? He told Anatta Pindika, he said, if you can cover the entire ground with gold, then it shall be yours. So that's the price. And that's what Anatta Pindika did. He was so rich, he took out all the gold that he had and he covered the entire park. I don't know how large the park is, but even if it's a small park, to cover the entire ground with gold. And when he told the prince couldn't believe that he had done it. And then the prince refused to sell. And so the matter had to go to the elders. He had to court, what they call it, people who settle disputes, okay, I can't pronounce that word, but you all know what I mean. And the elders decided that it was a valid. So if you study economics business law. Yeah, if you study business law, if you make an offer and there's acceptance of the offer, it becomes a valid contract. So they made the decision that the prince actually made an offer, and the offer was fulfilled, and so it's a binding contract. So the prince had no choice but to sell it. Then the prince said, well, you only covered the grounds. So the prince had to save some face. So he told Anathapindika, you only covered the ground with gold. You didn't cover the trees. So the trees shall be my gift to the Buddha. So when you hear the Prince Jeta's grove mentioned in the suttas, now you know how it came to that. Okay, coming back to the sutra, Anathapindika went to the Buddha, and then after paying his respects to the Buddha told him, said, these 5 things, householder, are welcome, agreeable, pleasant, and hard to obtain in the world. Okay, which 5? So the Buddha said, long life is welcome, agreeable, pleasant, and hard to obtain in the world. And the second one is beauty. The third is happiness. The fourth is fame. And then the fifth is rebirth in heaven. So these are general categories. In other words, long life also means health. And then beauty means people like you. You know, they like being near you. And then happiness means what you want. So in the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra, it says if you want a son, or if you want a daughter, some people they want to have a lot of grandchildren, you know, and then fame is status. So wealth will come under fame, respect will come under fame, power or authority also comes under fame. And then rebirth in heaven, it means that you don't worry about death. Okay, your future is secured. It's like why people save money for a secure future. So when the time comes, you don't feel any anxiety. You're not worried at all. Okay, so then the Buddha says, now I tell you, these 5 things are not to be obtained by reason of prayers or wishes. If they were to be obtained by reason of prayers or wishes, who here would lack them? See, the Buddha's logic is really, really sound, right? If prayers work, okay, and wishes work, then everyone will not suffer, right? Everyone would get what they want. You don't feel lacking at all. So the Buddha said, it is not fitting for the disciple of the noble ones who desires long life to pray for it or to delight in doing so. Instead, the disciple of the noble ones, who are disciples of the disciple of the noble ones, are not just the monks, but all of us who consider the Buddha, the Dharma as our teacher. It says, those who want long life should follow the path of practice leading to long life. In so doing, he will attain long life, either human or divine. All right. So the long life may come in this present life, or the long life may come in your next life. So it doesn't necessarily mean in this present life. So what is the Buddha saying? The Buddha is coming back, bringing people back to cause and effect. Okay, it's not magic. It's not how you say, just because you believe that you can get it, you will get it. The Buddha says you have to do the things to get the things that you want. Okay, now then the Buddha. Okay, so now we move to another sutra, very similar. Okay, it so similar it shares the same name, Itta Sutta, but it's a different sutra. And this one has 10 instead of 5 things. This one the Buddha is speaking to the monks. So he said, monks, these 10 things are welcome, agreeable, pleasant, and hard to obtain in the world. Which 10? Wealth, okay, beauty, freedom from disease, virtues, celibacy, friends, and then learning, discernment, the Dharma, and heaven. He said, these monks are 10 things that are welcome, agreeable, pleasant. That means everyone, okay, everyone wants all of this, but it's hard to obtain. Okay, now the Buddha next will tell us things that okay, hold on, let me see, let me show you this up. Buddha says these 10 things are obstacles to these 10 things that are welcome. So in other words, if you want these 10 things, you must also understand what not to do or what to do so that you don't obstruct yourself from getting those 10 things. And what are those? Number one, indolence and lack of initiative. Indolence means you're lazy. You can't be bothered. Okay? And so lack of initiative are obstacles to wealth. All right? This is in general. Of course, when it comes to the specifics, there are always some people who, whole life lazy, but then they win the lottery or they get an inheritance or something like that. But what the Buddha is saying is if you don't work for it, then it won't come to you. Yeah. Number two, lack of adornment and lack of embellishment are obstacles to beauty. This is very straightforward. That means if you don't take care of your appearance, you won't get beauty. Number three, unsuitable actions are obstacles to freedom from disease. Okay, if you go and eat dirty things, things like that. Evil friendship are obstacles to virtues. Lack of sense restraint is an obstacle to celibacy. That means you look at inappropriate things or things you shouldn't look at, because now the Buddha is speaking to monks, okay? And then you increase your desire when you shouldn't be. Number six, duplicity is an obstacle to friendships. What is duplicity? That means you lie. Or you say one thing to one person and you say another thing, a different thing to another person, and you're not consistent. Then people don't trust you. When they find out, you lose trust. People lose trust in you. And so they find it hard to rely on you. And because of that, you won't have everlasting friendships. Number seven, lack of repetition is an obstacle to learning. So sometimes when I say the same thing too many times and you get bored, remember this. Lack of repetition is an obstacle to learning. Number eight, an unwillingness to listen or to engage in questioning is an obstacle to discernment. Okay, so pay attention and question. All right, when I ask you all for questions, think of some questions. Number nine, lack of commitment and lack of reflection are obstacles to Dharma. Actually, I think there shouldn't be an S here. It should be Dharma, to the Dharma. Okay, that means to learning. If you don't reflect, you don't think, you don't learn. All right. And lack of commitment means you persist in it. It means you remember the sutra I shared where the Buddha talked about different kinds of people, and then it's like having something in your lap, and then when you stand up, it falls off the lap. Remember that? I don't remember the whole sutra, but same principle. And then number 10, wrong practice is an obstacle to heaven. That means you do wrong things. You lie, you cheat, you steal. Okay. Now we come to this. He says, these 10 other things are food for these 10 things that are welcome. Okay, so the last 10 is avoid the last 10. Now, this next set of 10 is what we should do to get the things that we want. All right, what? Non-indolence and initiative are food for wealth. Adornment and embellishment are food for beauty. Suitable actions are food for freedom from disease. Admirable friendships are food for virtues. Sense restraint is food for celibacy. I'm gone. Lack of duplicity is food for friendships. Basically, it's the opposite. Okay, repetition is food for learning. A willingness to listen and to engage in questioning is food for discernment. Commitment and reflection are food for dharmas. And right practice is food for heaven. Okay, now, who has these things? Okay, does anyone know who is guaranteed these 5 or 10 things? Anyone know? Anyone want to try? Who in the world is guaranteed to have this?
The Buddha.
The Buddha, yes. Very good. Who else? Very close to us. Because the Buddha is a bit far, for us to attain. Not really, but yeah. Very close. Closer than the Buddha.
Our Shifu.
Our Shufu, you mean the Venerable Master?
Yes.
I don't know, actually. If I were to say yes, it means I would know the state of Shufu, which I don't, so I cannot confirm that. So let me show you what this sutra says. This sutra is about 10 things. Okay, it says at one time the Buddha was staying near Vasali at a great wood in the hall with a pig roof. Oh, just now, like Shufu. If I were to know Shufu state, that means it means I'm equal or higher than Shufu. That's the only way you would know someone's actual accomplishment. Yeah. Okay, coming back to the sutra. And then, so the Buddha was staying near Vasali, and then Nandaka, the Lichavi minister, went up to the Buddha, bowed, sat down to one side, and then the Buddha said to him, he said, Nandaka, a noble disciple who has 4 things, is a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. Okay, so the answer is a stream enterer. All right, so what for? Says when a noble disciple has experiential confidence in the Buddha, the teaching or the Dharma, the Sangha, and they have the ethical conduct or the precepts loved by the noble ones, leading to immersion. Says a noble disciple who has these 4 things is a stream enterer, not liable to be reborn in the underworld, bound for awakening. A noble disciple who has these 4 things is guaranteed long life, beauty, happiness, fame, and sovereignty, both human and divine. Okay, so if you become a stream enterer, then you get all this, and a stream enterer has no more fear because they will not fall. They know they will never fall into the lower realms. Yeah. Okay. Now Lina says bodhisattvas or monks. Bodhisattvas, yes. Monks, well, I guess it depends. It's on the monk. Yeah. And the Buddha says, now I don't say this because I heard it from some other ascetic or Brahmin. Like what I'm telling you is what I read from the sutra. But when the Buddha says it, he says he only says it because he knows. Okay, so for the Buddha, it's not philosophy, it's not hearsay, or the Buddha's teacher said this, so the Buddha is just repeating what his teacher said. No, the Buddha says this because the Buddha knows. The Buddha is 100% sure. So then a certain person said to Nandaka, probably his servant, he said, "Sir, it's time to bathe." That means he's reminding Nandaka to take his bath. And Nandaka, after hearing the Dharma, he said, "Enough." He said, "With that exterior bathing, with the exterior bath, this interior bathing will do for me." That is confidence in the Buddha. So you see how smart Nandaka is, how much wisdom he has. It was time for his bath, but he says, what he's trying to say is that the interior bath is the one that will purify you. The outer bath just washes your skin. It just makes you clean on the outside, but it doesn't purify you on the inside. Okay. Now let's look at how to obtain long life from the Buddha himself. This is called the Supawasa Sutta. So this time the Buddha was staying in the land of the Koliyans, and they have a town named Pajanika. And the Buddha robed up in the morning. That means he put on his 3 robes so he could go on alms round taking his bowl. And then he went to whose house? He went to Supawasa, the Koliyan. It's like a clan. You know how we Chinese people have clans, like the Yap clan, the Tan clan. So this place, this land, is known as the Koliyan clan. So people there mostly have the surname Koliyan. So he said, when you went to the house, Supawasa would have laid out, invite the Buddha in, and then laid out a clean place for the Buddha to sit. So that's the seat spread out. And then Supawasa would have served the Buddha with her own hands, with delicious food, fresh and cooked foods. Then after the Buddha had eaten, he washed his hand and bowl. He sat to one side, and she sat to one side, and then the Buddha told her. Because, what is happening here is usually, and this has been consistent from the Buddha's time until now, if you invite a monastic out for food, or if you provide a monastic with food. The monastic is supposed to reciprocate with a teaching by speaking the Dharma. So the next time, if you are ever involved in if you are part of a group and then there's a monastic and there's food being served, and then after that you can use the opportunity to ask the monastic to speak Dharma. Okay, this is a tradition from the Buddha's time up to now. So what did the Buddha tell Supavasa? He said, when a noble disciple gives food, she gives the recipients 4 things. What for? Long life, beauty, happiness, and strength. Okay, so when you give food, proper food, what you are actually giving the other person is the result of the food. So you are giving them life, beauty, happiness, and strength. So he says, giving long life, she has long life as a god or human. Giving beauty, she has beauty as a god or human. Giving happiness, she has happiness as a god or human. Giving strength, she has strength as a god or human. Okay, so it's human or divine. And then the Buddha says, when a noble disciple gives food, she gives the recipients these 4 things. When she gives well-prepared food, pure, fine, and full of flavor, that offering given to the upright who have good conduct and are big-hearted joins merit to merit. It's very fruitful and is praised by those who know the world. Those who recall such sacrifices or offerings live in a world full of inspiration. That means you feel very good about yourself. You're always very, you feel very inspired. You know, there's a strength that comes, there's a vigor, there's a force that propels you, that, how you put it, it's not quite the word hope, but it's a very wholesome outlook for your own future. And then they're driven out the stain of stinginess, rude and all, blameless, they go to a heavenly place. You know, I think I may have missed out a slide. Let me see. Because, let me see. Yeah, I think I missed out a slide. Oh, sorry, this slide that you are looking at right now, I didn't explain it well. What the Buddha means here is that when you give food to someone and is properly prepared food, and because you give someone long life, in return, you get long life. Okay, so this is what this particular slide means. So you give long life, she has long life as a god or human. So the rewards for giving people food is you yourself will obtain long life, beauty, happiness, and strength. So either as a god, either as a human, that means in this present life, or in your next life as a god, that means divine. And we've explored before, lifespans in the heavens are really, really long. You know, like really, really long. The closest heaven to us, which is the heaven of the 4 kings, their lifespan is equivalent to 9 million human years. Imagine that. You know, how many generations of humans, how many lifetimes? If the average human lifespan is 100 years, you know, how many times does it need to do you need to be reborn over and over again to match just one lifetime in the heaven of the 4 kings? And then when you go up to the next heaven, the heaven of the 33, where Tikong or the Jade Emperor is, Lord Chakra, their lifespan is double of the heaven below. Yeah. Okay. Now, this sutra. Okay, wait. Before I go on, since we are in midway, does anyone want to ask any clarifications or any questions? Anything you want to share? No? Okay, I'll keep on asking. Okay, this sutra is called Making Merit, Apamada Sutta. So it takes place at Savatthi, and you have King Pasenadi in front of the Buddha, and he tells the Buddha, he asks the Buddha, he says, "Sir, is there one thing that secures benefits for both this life and lives to come?" Then Buddha said, yes. And he asked, what is that one thing? Buddha said, diligence. Diligence, great king, is one thing that secures benefits for both this life and lives to come. All right, but diligence in what? Okay, well, I mean, if you read the title, you know, diligence in making merit. So the Buddha says, the footprints of all creatures that walk can fit inside an elephant's footprint. In other words, the elephant's foot, or not foot, the footprint of the elephant is the largest among all animals. And then the Buddha says, so an elephant's footprint is said to be the biggest of them all. In the same way, diligence is one thing that secures benefits for both this life and life to come. And lives to come. So Buddha said, for one who desires a continuous flow of exceptional delights, long life, beauty and health, heaven and birth in an eminent family, the astute praise diligence in making merit. So diligence in making merit says, being diligent and astute person secures both benefits, the benefit in this life and in lives to come. An attentive one, comprehending the meaning, is said to be astute. Okay, so never give up any opportunity to make merit. Okay, anytime you have an opportunity to make merit, don't let it go. Okay, if you all have remembered the difference between merit and blessings, here merit will mean both. In very often in the sutras, when you have to distinguish whether it's merit or blessings based on the context of the sutra. Okay, so in this case, it could be blessings. Let's say you feed a lot of people with very good food. Whether it's blessings or merit will depend on your intentions. So your intention is long life, fame, beauty, and rebirth in the heavens, that will be considered as blessings. Okay, but if your intention is to have long life, beauty, fame, and rebirth in the heavens, so that you can have more time to study the Dharma and to practice. Why? Because you want to be less attached. You have renunciation in your thoughts, in your intention. Okay, that's number one, renunciation. Number two, you have loving kindness behind your intention. That means you do it for your own happiness as well as for the happiness of other people. So you make them good food. Cooks will know this. People who are good cooks, they will understand how satisfying it is, how happy it makes them feel when you serve someone something that you make yourself and people enjoy. So loving kindness. And number three is compassion. If someone is suffering and you're helping them to remove their suffering, if you have these three, okay, it's known as right intention from the Noble Eightfold Path. All right, renunciation, loving kindness, and compassion. If you have these three, then it becomes merit. Okay, you got that? If you don't have those three and you want just happiness for yourself and rebirth in the heavens for long life, or that, then it becomes blessings. Okay, so whether it's merit or blessings, you have to sometimes look at the context of the sutra. Okay, next we have Nagarjuna Bodhisattva on the 6 perfections. This publication is by Kalavinka Press, and it is translated by one of Shufu's first 5 disciples, Dharma Master Heng Chou, I think I'm pronouncing it right, who is based in Seattle. Okay, he really likes to translate Nagarjuna's shastras. Shastras means commentaries. Okay, so when one makes offerings of food, of drink and food, one gains strength, physical attractiveness, long life, and admiration. If one makes gifts of clothes, even from one's very birth, one gains an awareness of a sense of shame and a dread of blame. That means even when you're young, okay, if you give clothes, then the result is that even from a very young age, you know right from wrong. You have a conscience. You know not to do things that people say are wrong. You don't have to learn from anyone. You know, you don't have to learn from mistakes. You naturally know for yourself. Okay. One possesses the quality of awesome deportment, is physically handsome, and enjoys peace and bliss in both body and mind. Okay. This is by giving clothes. You know, clothes. If one makes gifts of dwellings, okay, you make places like Anatta Pindika, he made a monastery for the monks to live in. It says, then one obtains all manner of palaces and towers composed of the 7 precious things. This will most likely be where in heaven, because the mansions, the heavenly mansions, are usually made up of these 7 precious things. Unless you're a very unfortunate god. Okay, there's a guy called Payasi before who okay, I'm digressing, but there's a chieftain called Payasi before who didn't believe in the Dharma. Okay, he didn't understand how to cultivate blessings and merit and foster virtue in himself. But then he met a monk, and the monk taught him. So he decided, okay, from now on, you know, I'm going to practice giving. But he didn't give directly. He had a servant do the giving on his behalf. And then one day he heard his servant say something. The servant said, oh, in this life I am with my master, but in my next life, I do not want to be with my master. So Payasi was very curious. So he went to his servant and said, oh, you know, dear boy, why do you say that? Then the servant said, well, it's because the things that you're asking me to give away, the food and the clothes, are things that you yourself don't want to eat and don't want to wear. You know, it is food you don't like because it is coarse food, and it's clothes that you don't like because it is not fine cloth. So I don't want to be with you in your next life because your afterlife is not going to be that great. That's the boy's logic. So when Payasi heard this, to his credit, you know, he realized that, oh, you know, yeah, actually he shouldn't be doing that. So he told his servant, he said, okay, from now on, only give food that I myself will eat, and only give people clothes that I myself will wear. So that's what happened. And after they both died, the servant was born in, I think, the Triumtrimsha heaven, the heaven of the 33. And then Payasi himself was born in the heaven of the 4 kings, the lower heaven. And not only that, he was in his palace that he was born in, it was made of wood instead of the 7 precious things. And he was all alone in his palace. Normally, okay, for normal people, if you are reborn in heaven, you have a nice, really adorned mansion or palace. And not only that, your palace is full of attendants to attend upon you. You know how in Islam they say you have 49 virgins, something like that. Yes, that's what happens, except that we use different language. We say you have heavenly maidens to attend to you, something like that. Yeah, there's a whole book that's been written on it called the Buddhist Cosmos. Okay, so you can be reborn in heaven and not have a palace as fine as the other gods, because in heaven, depending on your own blessings, everyone's different. Just like humans, everyone has different levels. So in heaven as well, some people are better off than other people. Why? Because they have higher blessings. How do we know this story? Because Mahakachana, I don't think it's Mahakashyapa, I think it's Mahakachana. One of the Buddha's arhats would always go to the heavens to take a nap. And so he would come back down with a lot of stories of the heavens. And in one of his trips to heaven, he met this chieftain Payasi, formerly known as Chieftain Payasi, who told him, when you go back to Jambudvipa, to tell all the living beings, when they practice giving, you know, how to practice giving properly so that they get better rewards. Because although everything that was given belonged to him, he didn't give with his own hand. It was the servant who gave with their own hand. And the servant probably gave with a very sincere heart that wanted to benefit the people who received, very respectful, very happily. So he gave in a way that made the recipients also really happy. So that's why his reward was greater. So it's not what you have, it's not what you give, it's how you give. Okay. All right. Coming back to Nagarjuna. He says, if one makes gifts of the waters of wells, ponds, and springs, and makes gifts of all sorts of fine condiments, like mustard and soya sauce and all those things, then wherever one is born, one will succeed in being free of hunger or thirst and will possess an abundant repletion of the 5 objects of desire. What are the 5 objects of desire? Anything to do with your eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. Clothes, all right? Nice things. Some people, they like to collect art or Buddhist images, nice things that pleases the senses. You will have that in abundance. So for people who have those things now, okay, that's a clue as to what you used to do before. All right? Okay. Now, moving on. If one gives breeches, boats, or shoes, then even from birth, one will have an abundance of all sorts of carriages and horses. So we can substitute carriages and horses with private jets or expensive cars, something like that. If one gives parks and forests like Anatta Pindika, then one will achieve the honor of aristocratic social station and will become one to whom everyone looks in reliance. One will take on a body which is handsome, and one's mind will be blissful and free of worries. All sorts of causes and conditions such as this within the realm of people constitute what is gained through the practice of giving. So far, Nagarjuna is explaining rewards in the human realm, what you get in the human realm. Now we move on to the heavenly realm. Nagarjuna says, if a person gives as a way of cultivating meritorious qualities associated with karmic blessings and does not find the life of conditioned karmic activity to be agreeable, then he succeeds in being reborn in the dwelling place of the 4 heavenly kings. Okay, this is a very long sentence. What it means that you take delight in cultivating meritorious deeds, number 1. And number 2, you don't really like human life. You find that it is too much suffering in human life. Or actually, conditioned karmic activity means in all samsaric existence. Okay, then you can go to the you can be reborn in the 4 heavenly kings. Okay, if you walk into any Mahayana temple or Chinese Mahayana temple, you will see 4 awesome, fearful looking images, statues. At the City of 10,000 Buddhas, we don't have an actual statue, which is painted on the side of the building. But in most other temples or monasteries, there are 4 statues. And these 4 are the 4 heavenly kings. So this heaven of the 4 heavenly kings, that's where they reside. Nagarjuna says, if in his practice of giving, and this is very important, a person supplements it by making offerings to his father, mother, uncles, brothers, and sisters, that means your family. If he gives without hatefulness or enmity, and if he is not fond of disputation and also does not delight in seeing disputatious people, you just don't like to argue, you don't like confrontations, you like peace. He then succeeds in being born in the Triumtrimsha heaven or in the Yama, Tushita, Nirmanarati or the Paranimita Vasavatin heavens. What are these? These are the higher desire-based heavens. Then in the desire-based heaven, let me see if I'm, hold on, just give me a second. I better double check before I say, okay, let me see. Heavens. Yes, the 6 desire heavens. That's what I said, right? Desire heavens, yes. There are 6 desire heavens. Let me show you what I have. Hold on. Okay, let me increase the size. More. One more. Okay. If you look at the brown color at the bottom left in the world of desire, it starts from the hell realms at the bottom, then ghost, animal, then we are there. Actually, we are very low on the in the 31. These are known as the 31 planes of existence. And then above us are the asuras or the titans, those who like to fight. And then above them are the 6 desire heavens. Okay, so the nearest heaven to us are known as the heaven of the 4 kings, and their lifespan there is 500 heaven years, but it's equivalent to, you look at this column H, 9.125 million human years. And these people, these gods have physical bodies. If you're at the heaven of the 4 kings, you average about 750 feet tall. That's how high you are. So these heavens that we just saw, Nagarjuna described, belong to the 6 desire heavens. This one, the Trimtrisha heaven, the Suyama heaven, the Tushita heaven, and then the 2 heavens I couldn't pronounce very well. They are known as the heaven of bliss by transformation, and the upper heaven is known as the heaven of serenity of over others' transformations. And you can see the lifespan doubles every time you go up, from 500 years to 1,000 to 2,000, 4,000, 8,000, 16,000 years. So sometimes when the sutras speak about getting a long life, it doesn't mean human life. It means you get a heavenly rebirth. And the highest heaven, can you imagine? You look at this, heaven of serenity over others' transformations. Their lifespan is 16,000 heavenly years, which is equivalent to 9 billion human years. 9 billion. So if they say the earth was formed in 4 billion years, you can actually see the earth being formed, and you are still middle-aged as a heavenly being. Okay, all right. So to them, we and our lifespan, they blink one time, and a few generations of humans have come and gone. That's how different it is for them. Okay, now where are we? Okay. And Nagarjuna says, although one may be poor and of low station, if one is able to uphold the moral precepts, this is superior to being wealthy or of noble birth, while yet being a breaker of the precepts. So it doesn't matter how rich you are, precepts is the one that gives you the rewards. And then it says, the fragrance of flowers and the fragrance of the trees is such that one is unable to smell them from afar. However, the fragrance from upholding the precepts universally pervades throughout the 10 directions. The person who upholds the moral precepts perfects the realization of peacefulness and happiness. We've gone through this before, how maintaining the precepts, there's a fragrance, and gods, okay, to the gods, right, of the heavens, humans smell really, really bad. Just like how animals, if you don't, like farm animals, okay, animals in their natural state smell really, really bad to us. To them, they don't know they smell, but to us, they stink, right? When you have pets, you have to, like if you have dogs, you have to wash your dogs on a regular basis, because if not, they will stink. Same for humans, right? If we don't maintain our cleanliness, we will stink very easily, very quickly. But even though we maintain our cleanliness to the gods in the heavens, humans stink, just like how animals stink to us. However, if you maintain the precepts well, they can detect a fragrance from you and they like to be near you. So that's how you can attract Dharma protecting spirits. And that's why one of the reasons we refrain from eating garlic leeks and things like that, no smoking, is out of respect for our Dharma protecting spirits, so that we don't smell so bad. And also, like in Malay culture, there's a thing called mandi bunga. You bathe with water that has flowers infused in it whenever you need to. I'm not sure for what kind of ceremonies, but there are instances where you have to bathe with water. That's part of the reason. Okay. Now, then for someone like that, Nagarjuna says his name is heard in faraway quarters and is revered and cherished by both men and gods. In this present life, he always achieves all manner of happiness. For example, Anatta Pindika. Until now, all right, it's been 2,500 years. No, actually, okay, depending on what calendar, but for DRBA, we follow the 3,000 year calendar since the Buddha's time. We are still learning about Anatta Pindika, right? So if he desires wealth, nobility, and long life in the heavens or among people, it is not difficult for him to obtain it. If one is pure in upholding the moral precepts, he gains whatever he wishes. Now, a different part of the same text, okay, Nagarjuna says, refraining from killing. Any being who possesses a lifespan does not enjoy encountering a person who takes pleasure in killing. That means if you understand the value of life. If one dislikes killing, all beings happily rely on him. Again, when the life of a person who upholds the precepts is about to come to its end, his mind is at peace, happy, free of doubts, and free of regrets. What does this mean? It means that if you have lived a good life, a life where you respect people, so you don't lie to them, you don't take things that don't belong to you, you don't cheat other people, you don't harm anyone, there is a unshakable confidence that you can have in yourself. You know that you have not lived your life wrong. Yeah, you may have made mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, but this is not about that. This is about knowing that you have tried your best, and that kind of confidence is really, really important in the Dharma. Why? Because that your state of mind will be very calm. Here Nagarjuna says, peace, happy, free of doubts, and free of regrets. That means you haven't wasted your life so far. You have used your life to help people. Some people have special gifts. What do they do with it? They help people. They don't benefit themselves at all. And sometimes they help people to the detriment of their own well-being. That's how selfless they are. So there's a lot of goodness there that the dividends will come in terms of a mind that's peaceful, happy, free of doubts. Then Nagarjuna says, then whether he is reborn in the heavens or among men, he always gains a long lifespan. This behavior constitutes a cause and condition for realizing the path. All right. Now, what time is it? 10:24. Okay. So we have more slides, but we'll keep that for probably next week. Ron, would you like to ask your question again?
Yeah, I can ask again. So I saw this documentary about a doctor who cares for the aged. So he lived in a community where that small town only had old people, so in this particular documentary, they focused on about six um, old women. These were in a Japanese town. And so this question centers around this woman who was in her 95. She was like 95, and she had been released from a hospital. Was staying in a hospital, and I guess she must have had some procedure. After she was released, she went back home, and she was cared for by her family. But she refused. She just slept all the time. She refused to eat. And over the course of 2 or 3 weeks, she passed away. And my question is that when people pass away uh, in this mode, is that a form of suicide?
Okay, I think that's a fairly tricky question to ask because how you say it's easy to generalize, but as we know, in individual cases like this, there are a lot of details that that are missing. So, without commenting on this person's this example that you brought up, what I do know is that when people, either out of illness or when their lifespan is coming to an end, there comes a time where for some of them they stop eating, just like that. They just stop eating. They, whether is it how you say, whether they are aware of it or it's a conscious decision, it seems to be as a natural evolution of their path, either due to old age, sickness, or whatever it is. It is quite normal for people in that experiencing that to naturally stop eating. Yeah. So I guess given the context of what you described, Ron, I wouldn't classify it as suicide in that way, But if someone is, say, young or younger and healthy, and there's no reason to stop eating other than it's out of intention, so that they want to end their life, then yes, then there's a deliberate attempt to end their life. That's different. That would be committing suicide. Yeah. But
Well, sure.
Yeah.
So I recalled, after I asked the question, after I thought about that question, I recalled many years ago, I was having a discussion with my cousin. The husband of my cousin. And he told me that his father, when he got old, he let him know that, uh, I don't want to live anymore. And what he did was, he just stopped eating, and he passed away that way. So that is a form of suicide, right?
I don't know, Ron.
Okay.
Because there are, how to say, yeah, I think every case is different. Like that person may stop eating because the body is unable to accept food. But I think a clear, because those are gray areas, and whether it's to try to classify or understand, I don't think there's much benefit to get out of trying to figure it out. But a clear-cut case would be someone who has no medical reason, no valid reason to stop eating, okay, but they make a decision themselves. I want to stop eating because I want to end my life, and they're not plagued by any illness or disease. They have no mental illness. I think that would be a clear-cut case. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone want to add to Ron's question? Because recently there was someone very close to Shufu, and someone I knew very well, who has a natural progression of her illness, just stopped eating, and That happened for about 4 days, and then she passed on. Yeah. So I think in cases like that, out of old age and sickness, it is a natural, it is part and parcel of moving on. Yeah. Okay, you may say, I thought it's due to old age. Yeah. So for some people, that's a natural evolution of how things happen. Yeah. All right. But like I said, trying to figure out those kind of gray areas, I don't think it's. I don't. I don't think. I mean, there might be instances, but I guess there's not much benefit to be gained from trying to figure those things out. Yeah. All right. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. If not, then let me see. I think this week we are supposed to transfer merit using the Abhayagiri style, right? Is that right? Is Peggy here with us? Peggy, no, Peggy always remembers. Okay, Isabella says, usually at old age, dementia causes the person to shut down the need to eat. Yes, that's very true as well. Yeah, and it's not that the person is making a conscious decision. Sometimes the body makes the decision on behalf of the person. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Alec. Thank you, Alec, for something that's totally random. You find fasting very cleansing in body and spirit. I think this Ron's question is on something totally different. Alec, Alec, do you want to share why you're sharing this fasting experience?
阿弥陀佛. Perhaps at the end of one's life, it becomes a progression of one's fasting. And as you take less from this world, you're entering another phase of your existence.
Oh, okay. So you mean as in the fasting comes naturally because it is part and parcel of moving on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Sorry for calling you.
Sorry. I didn't
Okay.
express it very well.
Okay. You're back in Canada already?
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. This is how we do our transference for this week. This is from the Abhayagiri chanting book. Okay, I'm going to put my palms together. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of Death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease and all harmful states of mind. Until I realize Nibbana, in every kind of birth may I have an upright mind, in mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dharma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. Through the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. Okay, if you practice loving kindness for yourself and for others, and you have right intention, then what we have just read will make perfect sense because it will be a reflection of how you actually feel. All right? Okay, now let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. Oh, well, hold on. Let me change my sound settings so you can hear the bell properly so it doesn't get cut off. Okay, let me see. Okay, all right, let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Okay, Amitabha everyone. We'll see you next week.